Is a Lamborghini a supercar or a hypercar? What about a Bugatti? Most people can differentiate between a Ferrari, Lamborghini, or Corvette, and a Corolla or any other mainstream car, yet once you start looking at the top levels of performance automobiles, the lines become blurry. Supercars? Hypercars? Megacars? It is not surprising that people use these terms interchangeably with one another. However, what precisely do we mean when we talk about supercars, hypercars, and megacars, and how do these categories differ from one another? In the past, those who placed a premium on speed had no choice but to purchase a sports car. After that, supercars quickly dominated and became the fastest vehicles commercially available. Now we are a quarter way through the 21st century, meaning that supercars can no longer be regarded as absolute speed monsters. These days, a hypercar, or if you have the money on hand, a megacar, is a vehicle that you should be looking to purchase. There is a sure distinction between them in terms of the amount of sophistication, the performance, the price, and the uniqueness of the cars. So what is a supercar? Supercars are your best bet if you're looking for both speed and power in a vehicle. Supercars, in contrast to traditional sports cars, are purpose-built for speed and share very few, if any, similarities with standard automobiles. Supercars are designed to break speed records. The BMW M4 is classified as a sports car because it is a two-door variant of the performance-tuned BMW 3 Series. On the other hand, a McLaren, Ferrari, or Lamborghini is referred to as a supercar because its primary focus is on performance at the expense of everything else. As a result, supercars are noticeably quicker and more nimble than the very greatest sports cars. They are also not produced in large quantities, which contributes to their high worth and rarity, making them pricey. Many people consider the Lamborghini Miura to be the first supercar ever to be street legal. It was produced from 1966 through 1973 by Lamborghini. Since then, there has been a proliferation of high-performance automobiles referred to as supercars, each of which is an improvement of older versions. So what is a hypercar? If you enjoy supercars, you're going to go crazy with hypercars. This term is often reserved for referring to the very best 1% of supercars because they are only produced in extremely limited numbers. These extreme supercars are now valued at least $1 million each. Think about a car that can compete with the Ferrari LaFerrari, the Pagani Huayra, or the Bugatti Veyron in terms of its performance. Some people believe that the Jaguar XJ220 was the very first hypercar, even though it would be classified as a supercar by today's standards. Other people believe the Bugatti Veyron from 2005 was the first hypercar. The McLaren P1 and the Porsche 918 are also hypercars still produced today. These high-performance automobiles are designed with the latest components in technology and have the potential to generate around 1,000 horsepower. This allows them to exceed even the most technologically advanced sports cars. Hybrid powertrains are becoming standard equipment for today's hypercars as a direct response to the ongoing movement toward electrification. This trend was initiated in 2013 by the LaFerrari McLaren P1 and Porsche 918 Spider. It has been carried forward by more recent models such as the Ferrari SF90 Stradale in 2016 and the Ferrari LaFerrari Evoluzione in 2019. The qualifications for the hypercar title have become significantly more stringent as a direct result of the exponential growth in the technology and performance of supercars. They are the pinnacle of engineering and design, but with each new generation that comes along, their innovative features and radical aesthetics appear more and more out of date. Once upon a time, 185 miles per hour was a speed that could only be attained by the rarest cars. It's now possible for family sedans like the BMW M5 to outpace that. Because of this, the formerly unrivaled hypercar Lamborghini Murcielago now finds itself at the bottom of the pack whenever a new version of the Aventador is unveiled. The more straightforward performance technology in hypercars, such as changeable aerodynamics, is gradually making its way into supercars, like the Ferrari 488 GTB. The LaFerrari and the McLaren P1 are examples of supercars that use hybrid powertrains. However, at the moment, it is not feasible to integrate such technology in the bigger manufacturing volumes of less unique supercars since it is both too difficult and too expensive to do so. The fact that this innovation makes its way down to high-end sports cars increases the pressure placed on hypercars to continue to be at the forefront of their industry. Over time, things that we believe to be extraordinary will become mundane. The standard has been set far higher for megacars, even though supercars and hypercars both require creative engineering to reach top-tier performance. The best modern race cars have increased horsepower, larger brakes, improved aerodynamic efficiency, increased tire traction, and a lower overall weight than their predecessors. On the other side, hypercars and megacars make great use of expensive composite materials like carbon fiber, which are essential for reducing weight to an extreme degree but can be rather costly. Despite the high expense of the material when it is used for minor elements of the body and chassis of supercars, it is not uncommon for the entire monocoque of a hypercar or megacar to be made out of carbon fiber. Although most of the work is done on an assembly line, several aspects of the production of supercars are still completed by hand. On the other hand, hypercars and megacars are virtually full crafted by hand, with cutting-edge manufacturing techniques. The performance of a hypercar is superior to that of a supercar in every way that can be imagined. The power output of the majority of supercars ranges between 500 and 800 horsepower, with cheap supercars like the Corvette and Acura NSX representing the lower end of the spectrum, and Ferrari, McLaren, Lamborghini, and other exotic automobile manufacturers representing the upper end of the spectrum. In comparison to supercars, hypercars have more than 800 horsepower, and a hypercar with 1340 horsepower or more is referred to as a megacar. When compared, the Bugatti Chiron's output of 1479 horsepower is significantly greater than the 1000 horsepower that the Bugatti Veyron generates, which is a hypercar. When it comes to speed, today's supercars can travel from 0 to 60 miles per hour in fewer than 35 seconds. While hypercars and megacars can accomplish the same feat in fewer than 2.5 seconds, when compared in terms of their top speeds, supercars are capable of traveling at over 185 miles per hour, while hypercars are capable of traveling at over 250 miles per hour, and megacars are capable of traveling at over 280 miles per hour. These measures are getting significantly better across the board as the automotive industry pushes toward electrification. In the not-too-distant future, the benchmark for supercars will be a time of less than 3 seconds to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour, while the criterion for hypercars and megacars will be less than 2 seconds. The terms very costly, very expensive, and difficult to afford accurately describe the price ranges for supercars, hypercars, and megacars respectively. The cost of a supercar typically falls between $80,000 and $500,000. When adjusted for the effects of inflation, the MSRP of every hypercar that has ever been produced is well over $1 million. In 1992, a brand new McLaren F1 cost $815,000, equivalent to more than $1.5 million today. Over $1 million is required to purchase a LaFerrari, McLaren P1, or Porsche 918 Spider. The price of a megacar typically exceeds $2 million, with the Bugatti Chiron and the Koenigsegg Jesko having starting prices of around $3 million each. Therefore, while the average individual does have a chance of being able to buy a supercar, they will have to make do with daydreaming about what it would be like to drive a hypercar or a megacar. Because with megacars, it is almost as though they do not exist. The production of both supercars and hypercars is often limited, however the production of megacars is significantly less common. In comparison, while about 5,000 Ferrari 485 Italia supercars were created for the entirety of the model's manufacturing lifetime, only 700 LaFerrari hypercars were ever manufactured. Approximately 40,000 C7 Corvette Z06 supercars were manufactured during its production run. However, for Paganus, you get 3 to 20 units. To put it another way, Paganus are so rare and unique that it is said that the Bishop of Rome blessed a set of driving accessories that the company sells. This is just one example of the rarity and uniqueness of hypercars and megacars. The maximum number of supercars that can ever be produced in an individual manufacturer's lifetime is 50,000. In contrast, the maximum number of hypercars is less than 1,000, and the production of megacars will never exceed 500 units in any given run. So when you encounter a hypercar, you ought to pay some respect to these rare beauties. That's all from this video. Which one would you love to own? See you at the next one.